Hello, everybody. This is Tom Eckert here. You're listening to my podcast, Numerology, a GPS for the soul. This is your place to learn about the true power of numerology and how to use it to bring out the best in yourself, understand your loved ones better, take wise decisions, and prepare for your future. In other words, how to live your life aligned with your true destiny. Take your time to educate yourself and share these podcasts with your friends and family so they too can enjoy the great benefits of numerology. Enjoy! Welcome to all my listeners to yet another episode. Now, if you're new here, I want to remind you that we discuss in this podcasts numerology, but more specifically numerology as a path for inner transformation, for personal growth, and self-understanding. So my attempt in this podcast is to make numerology accessible, applicable, and grounded for everyday matters. Okay, now, if you don't know and if you haven't tried it yet and you want to get a numerology reading, you're welcome to contact me through my website link that's provided in the podcast description. If you want to study numerology in a more methodical and self-paced way, I suggest you check out my self-study course. There's a secret episode in my podcasts. I won't tell you which. It's going to be a little game. That holds a coupon exclusive to my podcast listeners that gives you a 65% off for my online course. So just listen to my podcast episodes to find out where it is, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, in today's episode, we are about to discuss a topic that I believe is relevant for most of us, if not all of us. At least I know that many of the clients that come to me are asking questions about this topic a lot, and that is simply career. What career path suits me, what environment works for me, and what not. Should I be self-employed? Should I be, employed? And so on and so forth. Now, just before I kind of jump right into the matter, I want to say that I'm now not, usually I record at my home based in Berlin. It's a very quiet space. I'm now in Greece. I just wanted to catch some sun. So it's a little bit more noisy here. So just bear with me and forgive me if there are some dog barks in the background or some car noises. I hope it won't disturb us, but just to let you know. Okay, my friends, so let's jump right in. Today we're about to explore how your numbers, especially talking about the 5 core numbers, reveal what work environment is best for you. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, what work environment will help you thrive, what work environment you'll feel most comfortable in, what work environment you should avoid, right? Not every work environment works for every person. We have to understand who we are and what works for us and not try to be something society tells us we should be. That's the gift of numerology. We will also talk about which careers are most suitable for our numbers. Okay? Now, as always, for those of you who already know me, it's not like I'm going to give you a list of careers. That's not really my cup of tea. I want to teach you how to think. By understanding your numbers, by understanding the dynamic and their unique attributes, you will already understand whether the direction you want to head towards is actually fitting your numbers or not. That's actually the art of being a numerologist. So, if you don't know your 5 core numbers yet, or you don't have them before you, I really urge you to have your 5 core numbers laid before you. Perhaps, have them written with a pen and paper so you can simply follow along and think about your own career choices while I'm teaching you how to think and interpret your numbers in this episode. Now, if you don't know your core numbers, I suggest you go to my website and visit my blog and search for an article that's called Numerology, how to calculate your numbers. This article explains in detail how to calculate all your 5 core numbers. So that way you will be able to just follow along and, just kind of really listen and try to think as I explain. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's also fine. You can simply follow along, listen, just digest and take in what I'm about to teach you in this episode and share with you. And afterwards, just kind of calculate your own numbers, take your time to think. Okay, fantastic, my friends. So let's keep going. Now, for this episode, we are about to focus on 2 of your core numbers in specific. So if you want to kind of like spare some job and not calculate all your 5 core numbers, you can simply focus on calculating your soul urge number and your expression number. These are 2 of the most important calculations that define your path in this lifetime, and specifically, as you will see in this episode, reveal a lot about your career choices. Now, if you have already looked into some numerology books or listened to other podcasts, maybe read some information in websites, you will see that most numerologists, when they talk about career, they will often look at the expression number in order to examine career direction. Or they will talk generally. They will just look at kind of like your overall numbers and will say, okay, this is good for you, that is good for you. And I'm not saying that is wrong. However, I want to introduce a way that I believe is much more accurate and deeper and precise for analyzing what career direction and atmosphere suits you best. Now, I want to just say that this was passed down to me by my wonderful numerology teacher from Israel. His name is Sharon Ron, and I am happy to pass it on and share it with you. So, as I said, we will be examining these 2 numbers in your chart, the soul urge. And the soul urge really stands for your dreams, your aspirations, your ideals, where you want to go. And that makes a lot of sense. That's a very important part in defining what job, what career, right? What dream career, what dream job you aspire to. And then we're going to talk also about the expression number, your toolbox, your skills, your abilities, your manifestation skills. In many ways, these 2 numbers relate with each other in the sense that, well, I have certain dreams, soul urge. I have certain aspirations, soul urge. Now, can I fulfill them with my toolbox expression number, with my abilities? And if it's a bit harder, then how can I build a bridge between those 2 numbers? And this is very important for you to understand with your own numbers. So, now, if you listened to some of my previous episodes already, you know how much I emphasize the importance of blending numbers into a progressively more holistic story and picture of your life, instead of looking at them as fragmented pieces, right? I mean, it's all nice to say, I have a 7, or I have a 5, I have a 1 soul urge, I have a 5 expression number, I have a 7 life path, whatever. But again, these are just fragmented pieces of your being. How do these pieces come together to form a puzzle, right? If you see different pieces of the puzzle and you tell me, hey, Tom, look, I see you're a piece of the puzzle, there's a cloud, and then you say, and here's a nose of, of a mouse, and here's whatever, right? A piece of a plant. Okay, I understand that you see those pieces of the puzzle, but put them together and tell me what's the picture. What does it look like? Are you seeing a mouse being eaten by another animal while it's a cloudy day? Are you seeing a mouse discovering a new meal in the forest, resting? You understand what I'm saying? What we're trying to do is like to always look at the numbers as one whole. Good. Now, here too, okay, let us examine how the soul urge and expression numbers form a tendency together that is unique to you. and for every other person for this matter. Now, the numbers you have in these specific locations of the soul urge and expression number are going to reveal to you what work environments suit your needs and temperament, what work environments put you off or even stress you too much, right? This can help us avoid burnout, for example. They will reveal if you need more of a secure job, to be employed, for example, or whether you're more your own boss kind of type, okay? You will be able to see what qualities and talents you bring into your potential career. Do you fit to a managing position or not? Are you fitted to more mental jobs, physical jobs, emotional or spiritual? So these are all questions that you will be able to kind of answer slowly, and hopefully some more interesting information. Now, as always, I am going to now demonstrate all of this by giving you examples that demonstrate all of these points. Naturally, I'm not going to cover all number combinations. That's something we do in my one-on-one professional numerology studies. But we are going to cover quite a few examples to give you the idea and the feeling of it. So you're welcome to write this down or just listen and absorb. The first number combination I want to talk about is 4 and 2. And for this matter, let's set aside whether the 4 or 2 appear in your soul urge or expression number. If you have these numbers in the soul urge and expression number, then what I'm going to say here is valid. Now, a person with a 4 and a 2 in these locations, first of all, will need a work atmosphere that is more slow-paced, that is more quiet. It's a work atmosphere that is not pushy, doesn't work through a lot of competition, more organized. The 4 and 2s, they need a work atmosphere where the tasks are clear, they know what they need to do, preferably some office job or at least a job where, I know I come at a certain hour and go at a certain hour, right? I start and finish. Things are more kind of like set within a framework. It's also, these people need to grow into their work step by step. So just like throwing them directly into a managing position is going to be too much. They cannot just take too much on themselves, a 4 and 2. However, they can slowly grow into a higher position. So I always love to say about the 4 and 2s that, for example, they start off as a, let's say, customer rep. And after a year, their boss sees, wow, they're a good, committed worker, which they are, the 4 and 2, right? They're very reliable, very committed. Again, qualities that you bring into your career. Commitment, reliability, trustworthiness, looking into the small details, very steady, right? So the boss comes and says, hey, listen, I really like your job. I want to kind of promote you. So you've been just a customer representative. I want you to work in the back office and take some more responsibilities. It's not too pressuring. It's a step up, but not too much. You feel safe, right? 4 and 2 need to feel safe and supported, and then they move on. After a year of working in the back office, again, their boss comes and says, hey, listen, I'm really proud of you. You're doing a good job. Now I want you to be like a shift supervisor for all the team. And again, now you're already 2 years in. You feel comfortable with the people, you know who you're working with, you know the job. So you feel comfortable. You move on, you become a shift supervisor. Again, a year goes by, your boss says, hey, listen, I've been promoted to be like, I don't know, the regional manager. I want you to be the local manager here. And by that point, you feel okay, you feel safe. So the 4 and the 2 can grow into the position of a manager, but they need to do it by increments. They need to kind of grow comfortable wherever they are. So office jobs are really good, starting small and advancing slowly. Definitely preferable to be employed because they need safety. They need a safety net, so secure jobs are much more fitting for them. Now, they can also involve some physical jobs. I mean, you have that 4 energy there, but in a quiet setting, okay? As long as you can do your craft in a quiet setting, not too stressy, that really works well for a 4. Too much competition is going to really kind of like make them shrink, and they're just going to fall behind. This is not going to fit. Working with others and not alone, again, is also very well fitted for the 4 and 2. Good. Let's keep going with our examples. I'll take now a completely different energetic setting. Let's take like the 8 and 5, soul urge and expression number. 8 and 5. We have a very passionate, we have a very driven, a very versatile energy here. A person that needs new goals. Someone who definitely is competitive. Someone who wants juice in what they do, right? So people with like 8 and 5, you will often see them in marketing jobs, promotional jobs, like, jobs that like where they can promote a product. I always, it's always like a joke to say, if you want to sell ice to Eskimos, take a person with a 5-8. They're going to manage to somehow persuade that person that they need ice, although everything is ice all around them. Now, I would say that like 8 and 5 can be like a mixture of being employed and their own boss. So it just depends. I mean, if they work with a boss over them, above them, then at least it has to be a surroundings that gives them a lot of freedom of expression, a lot of ability to kind of move up the hierarchy, get really great bonuses, kind of be very dynamic in what they do. But they can also be their own boss. They can also, develop their own business, be very good at sales, very dynamic. They're great in finding opportunities and implementing them. So for example, 8 and 5, I always love to call them like the street cats with a lot of street wisdom. So like, importing goods that they found in some other country and say, hey, why don't I sell this in my country, right? And just suddenly open like a booth in a market and whatever. A market stall, you call it? I'm not sure. Forgive me for my not perfect English, and then selling the product. So very dynamic, very adaptable. You put them in an office, they're gonna wither. Okay, so we see here completely different types, much more dynamic. They can work with people, but there has to be a competition element. So it's not like the 2 and the 4 where it has to be this cooperation and support and kind of very soft. There's much more passion here. Moving on, we are going to talk about the 7 and the 2. So I try to kind of like pick number combos that are very different from one another, so you can kind of get a feel of different perspectives of how the numbers function in the what I call the career aspect, which is again represented by combining your soul urge and your expression numbers. So 7 and 2. 7 and 2, a little bit similar to the 4-2, they also need a quiet setting and not competitive setting, because the 7 and 2 are very intuitive, they're very sensitive. They're wonderful when it comes to counseling. They're great advisors, they're great therapists, even spiritual advisors or psychologists, right? People that love to kind of delve into understanding the psyche, how humans think and work, how their emotions work, how their mind works. They're really, really good at understanding people. Now, they can work as their own bosses, but I would say it'll take them more time to build that path, because 7 and 2 are both slow-paced numbers. Nevertheless, there's something more kind of specific to this combo. So in that sense, they can be their own boss. It'll just take them more time. So, I can imagine a 7 and 2 working in some kind of, being employed while developing over the years, slowly their own business, and eventually kind of transitioning to becoming their own boss, doing their own thing in their own pace. Now, they can work for someone else, given that the atmosphere there is very supportive, very attentive, gives them the possibility of growth, because the 7 really needs to grow and deepen and be challenged on the level of wisdom. Again, competition here won't work it's going to feel like I'm being crushed. So imagine, again, the reason I'm saying this is because our society has a lot of expectations. They're like this, right? These set of expectations of how we need to function, how we need to be. And I want to tell you this: you don't need to be anything other than who you are. And that's really what numerology tells us. Now, if you happen to be a 7 and 2 or a 4 and 2, and you're being pushed to be in a competitive setting, don't feel like you're a failure if you just can't keep up the pace. At some point, you have to look at the truth of your life and say, listen, I'm not fitting to this environment. I need something that is supportive. I need something that is safe. I need a place where I can evolve in a more sensitive setting, right? And if, on the other hand, you are competitive, type, but you're being put in some kind of very quiet zone. Hey, your parents push you to be in a safe job and just 9 to 5, and you say, hey, look, no, that's really not me. I'm dying here. I need some competition. I need some fire. I need some goals. Then go ahead and do it. Okay, guys. So I hope you're starting to kind of get the idea and follow me. As you can see, I'm never talking about, like, whenever I talk about a combo, I'm not talking about like when a number combo, I'm not talking about either the 7 or the 2, either the 8 or the 5. I talk about 8-5, 7-2, like as one energy constitution, because as I said, we want to understand the puzzle as one whole, not as fragmented pieces. Now let us move on. A few more examples ahead of us. Let's talk about the 1 and 3 appearing in soul urge and expression number. Now, 1 and 3, again, a very different energy than before. We have here very creative people, spirit of innovation, many ideas, many solutions. This is fitted for startups, for example, sometimes even high tech. Okay, so like, but not necessarily for carrying through the project, right? That's more fitted. Unless they have like a strong 4 or 8 somewhere else in their core chart. But if like 1 and 3 is really, really the main energy that is present, then they're more like the idea givers, direction givers, innovation, brainstorming, the leaders that kind of like create new pathways, amazing in finding solutions, by the way, right? So that's really great. That's more the direction. Now, another thing that's super interesting for like the 1 and 3 is that they love being in the front stage. So that can be, again, like being in a managing somehow position, because again, it can happen with 1 and 3. Or it can also be a completely different direction, which is, for example, being in the entertainment world. Now, I've seen many actors or lead singers and so on that have 1 and 3s because they want to be on stage. So they can be entertainers, front stage, television, bands, okay? Again, like that kind of direction. There's the 3 there, right? With the creativity, the artistic nature. The 1, that courage to step in and, and just like be there in the limelight. So that's 3. Again, dynamic spirit, creative spirit, definitely can be one's own manager. And if it's in an employment setting, I would say that it has to be somewhere in the top, like maybe a manager among other managers creating a project together. Okay, maybe like, right, like some mutual project with other partners. Okay, moving on, again, a complete shift in energy. Let us talk about what happens when we have 7 and 8 in our soul urge and expression number. Now, 7 and 8 is a real extreme shift from 1 and 3. We are talking here about maybe the most perfectionist kind of persona out of all the numbers. Whenever I teach, this to my numerology students, 7 and 8 is really like highly perfectionists. They really aspire to excellence, and they have a really strong mind, a strong individual here. Now, 7 and 8, you will see they will very often, again, if they allow themselves, right? It's always a matter if we flow with our constitution. They will be attracted to research. maybe even computer science, something that really requires excellence and requires and kind of extracts a lot of the mind, where the mind can work hard to discover and to develop new things. This can be, developing, I don't know, a new theory. This can be developing a new algorithm in, I don't know, some kind of programming job, whatever. But they're like, as long as they can be in a job that really requires the power of their mind and has some kind of, opportunity for prestige, for respect, and for high achievements, that's their place. 7 and 8 need like a high considered job. Again, as I said, that will allow their mind to have a level of independence in terms of research and development. That is, again, if they're employed. They can also be self-employed. That's also possible, right? So their own bosses. It is definitely possible for 7 and 8. They have both these possibilities. If they're employed, they will have to have like really good conditions, high position as employees, a lot of independence there. And if they're, self-employed, then it speaks for itself. They can just, take on any direction and, have a PhD and or multiple PhDs and really excel at whatever they do. But again, the power of the mind is very important here. Forgive me, my microphone here just shifted. I hope this doesn't create much noise. Need to fix here a little thing. Okay. Technological glitch. Now, my last example for this episode would be the 2 and the 6. Now, the 2 and the 6, very different from the 7 and 8. We are talking again about the kind of more quiet atmosphere. But as opposed to, let's say, 2 and 4 or 2 and 7, the 2 and 6 is much more of an emotional type. Okay, so first of all, we understand that like 2 and 6, they need people. They need people around them. They need the interaction. They need the emotional exchange. Just to be like in a cold setting, like, I don't know, like working in some kind of like hard physical job alone, or working in an office just in front of a computer, not seeing people around you, not having some kind of like human exchange, is really not where you want to find yourself as a 2 and a 6 soul urge and expression number. You want to find yourself in a space with other people, in a place where service can be given, right? So service-oriented jobs are very fitting for the 2 and 6, where they can really be helpful. So, for example, working with people, working in a team, being involved in a community, definitely not a competitive setting. They can be really wonderful, for example, as social workers. They can be great therapists, healers, helping the elderly, helping people with special needs. So they really love to be emotionally involved with, like in their work. So it's with the people they work in or the project they are part of. That's really the 2 and the 6. Now, I gave here quite a few examples, so to give you like different perspectives of how the numbers work, and you can see that, when we look at the numbers, we see, what skill set we're bringing into the domain of a career. We can see what atmosphere and environment really works for us, and as a result, what environment doesn't work for us. Now, this can really spare us a lot of energy trying to be something that we are not. If we're a competitive type, this will make us thrive. If we aren't, it'll make us shrink. And we don't want to work against the stream. And this is why understanding these numbers is so helpful. So to kind of sum it a little bit up, it's important to ask yourself also, do my visions work with my skill set? In other words, does my soul urge number work well with my expression number? And if it does, great. And if it doesn't, then simply try to sit with yourself and ask, how can I bridge between those two numbers? How can I make them work for each other as one unit? That's a very important question to ask. Always trying to create a bridge between our numbers. And that, by the way, works also if your numbers are completely harmonious and kind of easily work together, like for example with 2 6 or 1 3. It's still important to create that bridge, because that is basically the work of combining the numbers, finding the common denominators, and simply learning how they work as a unit, as a puzzle, and not as fragmented pieces. So that will help you understand, like when you find the common denominator, you will find out the deeper specifications for your career needs. So basically what I've been trying to say throughout this entire episode is, look at these two numbers in your chart as your unique formula and code to find career alignment, to find what really works for you, to find your path in the dimension of career. Now, as always, there are many, many more layers of precision and depth that can be discovered in this specific domain and other domains as one becomes a professional numerologist. But I hope that still this episode gave you some inspiring food for thought and for contemplation. Now, if you wish to get numerology reading, I just want to remind you, as I said in the beginning, you can contact me through my website link. If you want to study numerology in a more methodical and self-paced way, check out my self-study course. You have that secret episode I mentioned. It gives you a discount that is exclusive only to my podcast listeners. And if you happen to have a dream to become a professional numerologist, then you should simply consider the one-on-one studies with me. You can find more information on my website. Okay, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, I will see you in the next episodes. Take care. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, and you want to go deeper into numerology, check out my website, tom-eckert.com. You can also book a numerology reading or even study numerology yourself through my courses. I'll see you in the next episode.